Hello, everybody. I'm Alice in Wonderland, and on behalf of my friend the White Rabbit here, and I want to welcome you to a very special Halloween edition of Something to Talk About Live. Actually, I'm Liz Owen. I'm the Director of Communications at PFLAG National, but I'm gonna just go with Alice for today. And because she and I are very late for a very important date, I'm gonna bring on my good friend and colleague, Elphaba.
Hello, Liz.
Hello. I'm gonna go help her find her way out of the rabbit hole, and I'll be back later.
Excellent. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Something to Talk About. I am, for today, Elphaba Marie. Normally Jean Marie, the Director of Learning and Inclusion at PFLAG National, but today we are doing our Halloween show, and I could not be more excited because all of my colleagues are here to help. So we are going to be talking about all things Halloween, and we have some great costumes for you. But to have today's conversation, we are going to use our usual article format. So if you want to join us in the discussion, please go to straightforequality.org/discussion series, and you'll be able to access today's article along with the questions that we are going to use. Now, having said that, I want to get the discussion started. And to do that, I want to bring in my friend Jamel. Maybe he may not be Jamel today to have the conversation.
Greetings. Hello.
Oh, hey, Jamel. Or
Hi.
is what using today?
Well, Jamel couldn't be here. He couldn't afford the VIP ticket for this occasion. So Denaro Van Cartier is here to have this discussion today.
Well, this is going to be a very interesting conversation. I see the order of the day was red hair. I'm excited to see that. So we are talking Halloween. And so the article that we are using today, the title of it was Halloween is Gay Christmas for many in the LGBTQ community. This year, it has been canceled. It's by Samantha Schmidt, and it was in the Washington Post. It's a great, interesting article. And I want to get right to work because we are going to talk a little bit about Halloween. Jamel and I are, well, not Jamel. He's not available. And I are going to have a conversation and talk a little bit about what it means in the LGBTQ community. And then we are going to bring in a bunch of our colleagues who are going to talk about things that scare them, which seems appropriate for Halloween. So Jamel, not Jamel. I keep doing it. I'm sorry. Jamel that I work with. I don't know why it keeps coming up.
I'll send you regards.
So, right away in the title, Halloween is referred to as Gay Christmas for the LGBTQ community. And the article actually gets into some of the historic reasons why it is so popular in LGBTQ spaces. So, let's talk, Denaro, let's talk about some of these reasons. So what do you think some of those reasons are? And do you think the historic reasons still stick? Are they still relevant for us?
Absolutely. I was super excited to read this article. It hit right home and just spoke to the choir. But I absolutely agree with the article. Halloween is Gay Christmas. It's a chance when you can be literally anything that you want to be. You can be a scholar, you can be a socialite, you can be literally whatever. But like when it comes to LGBTQ plus folk, it's a safe time for folks to experiment with gender and identity. Many a drag queen was born on Halloween. Like it's a safe, fun time for everyone. And I think it really holds a special place in LGBTQ plus folks' hearts because of that.
It's like that day that people get cover for some of the things that they otherwise couldn't do. And I think it's really interesting to note that historically speaking, there were a lot of challenges in the LGBTQ space, even with the way people appeared. A lot of people don't know that historically, right here in the US, you could be arrested for not having enough pieces of attire on of your gender, whatever that might be, because it was considered to be impersonation. And so things like Halloween gave people kind of an opening and an out to be able to kind of come out and do it very safely because of even the way the laws were structured. I also think it kind of plays into our community's love of camp, doesn't it?
Yep. Oh yeah, like camp for gay folks. it's like the gospel. Like I think about like Divine and John Waters and like how they paved the way and just really created an outlet for gay folks to not only have content, but see themselves reflected back in that content.
Yeah.
And then John Waters spawned 1,000,001 different other projects and like other, folks to come after him. So camp is definitely a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm so excited that you got excited about when I said camp, because sometimes we talk about it, not everybody's that familiar with it. And I think that, again, looking at it historically, it was this way for us to build a common culture, because we couldn't actually be out there, but we could take a piece of media, and I'm going to pick The Wizard of Oz as an example, and make that something for all of us and make it something that's really sort of sacred to us. So the article also goes into some of the challenges this year. So because we can't get together in traditional ways, people are not having Halloween. And for many people in our space, that is really going to be a difficult thing, as Missing Pride was. So we're trying to come up with some innovative ways that we can continue to observe Halloween. So Jamel, what are you thinking about for this year?
I have gone remote hybrid is what I'm doing for Halloween. A lot of the activities that I had planned are just going to be done on Zoom. Like, Zoom has just been such a tool for this time. So my friends will be getting together. We'll be doing, I'm sure there'll be some Halloween karaoke, which I hate, but I'm going to participate in anyway. We're going to play games. We're going to do trivia. And then I have a brunch that I've planned. It's a small brunch. There's 6 of us. So I'll be cooking, and folks will be here, and we'll play board games.
Oh, how fun. I think it's really interesting. Right before the show, I was scrolling through some announcement. There was an email about upcoming events, and there were a ton of online Halloween events going on, and it made me really happy. And I was trying to think of stuff that we can do. One of the things that I was thinking about is actually doing a group screening of different horror movies too, because some of them lead to interesting conversations. I know that the film Get Out, which is a great horror movie, led to tons of conversations among my friends. And because we can watch things online today, I thought maybe that might be an interesting way to actually do stuff.
Yeah, like there's 1,000,001 platforms that you can use to have group watch parties. Netflix Party was one popular one that you can just add to your browser extension. But I think that's a very, very good option.
Yeah, and I think that you could actually turn that into a little bit of an educational event. I know that here I live in Palm Springs, California, we are having a few socially distanced people coming over to take their corners of the backyard and show off a costume just for a little while. And I think that's going to be fun, because we recognize that still having community is really important, especially at these times that I think are really important to our, to the LGBTQ population. So Jamel, let's talk about the most important thing, which is stuff that scares us. There are so many things that scare me. I'm afraid of my own shadow. So Jamel, what I would love to know is one thing that scares you that people might find funny, and one thing that quite literally frightens you, more so than my face right now.
For my first answer, I'm going to, one thing that terrifies me that I think is kind of funny are reply all emails. When someone mistakenly replies all, and then that person replies all, and then that person, you look up, there's 100 people on your email chain, and you're like, this is ridiculous.
I have seen the pits of hell, and it looks like reply all emails, especially when everybody has to do the things. That is a legitimately scary thing. I'm not even sure that's funny scary. What's happening back for me in the scary department? So, what about something that legitimately frightens you?
Ooh, I mean, as we know, this has been a very tough year, especially for queer folks, especially for queer folks of color. There were some scary moments this year. I think for me, one of my lowest points was that May 31st, June 1st, 2nd, 3rd weekend. We saw George Floyd. We saw a lot of protests. I mean, it was exciting, but it was sad. It was scary. Like, I didn't know. I didn't think I personally was in danger, but like the world is on fire, and to witness those things like from my computer screen was very terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, and I think for many of us, it has been a really unsettling time, because for many people, it is the first time that they have really seen protest in this volume. And I think to this extent, and frankly, I'm going to say this, with some of the counter protests being, deathly in some cases. I mean, people have in fact been killed. And I think that's legitimately frightening. I was trying to think about what scares me. And I have to say, after 8 or 9 months of now being on camera, Nothing scares me more than cameras that shoot you in high definition so the entire world can see your pores. No one can see my pores that closely, and I've developed a real appreciation for soft focus and distancing yourself from cameras. So that's what kind of scares me in a funny sense. I have to say what scares me seriously is people who actually don't think that their vote is going to matter. I don't think that there's anything that could possibly be more frightening than that right about now, in the sense of it's not going to matter if I do anything or if I do something. And so I think that's pretty intimidating. So Jamel, does your celebration for Halloween start on Friday, or will it just be on the day itself?
My celebration for Halloween will start at 2:30 on Friday. And I am holding my breath. I can't wait. I love Halloween. Halloween and Thanksgiving, aside from my birthday, might be my favorite holidays. Like I'm geeked.
The best time of year. The best time of year. So what do you think, Jamel? You've seen some of our colleagues' costumes. Do you think we should start bringing them in and talking to them about what scares them?
I do. I'm excited too. We showed out today, y'all. Y'all are
we really did. And I have to tell everybody, Jamel is the game master of PFLAG. He has kept us laughing this entire time. So this has been a very exciting experience for us. So let's see if Liz is there. And I'm just going to remind everybody who's watching that if you have any comments or questions that you want to ask people, because you're about to have a lot of staff, please make sure that you are dumping that into the chat. And hello, Alice / Liz.
Hello. Hello to you both. The White Rabbit is gone, abandoned me in the middle of Wonderland, so my apologies.
Don't they always?
Yeah. Be a little over.
Shall we bring in some of our colleagues, Liz, and talk to them? Well, actually, Liz, we didn't get to ask you. So tell us something funny that scares you, and tell us something serious that scares you.
Funny you should ask, because one of my children actually mocked me about my one that others may find funny, which is armpits. Armpits scare me. They freak me out. It's not any particular person's armpit, just thanks. Thank you so much for participating in my fear. So I don't know why. I don't know how it started. I might need therapy when this is all over, but there you go.
And what's your serious thing that scares you beyond armpits?
No, that was the serious one. And the real one, honestly, everything that's gone on with the Supreme Court has really scared me. I'm someone who started my advocacy in pro-choice advocacy, and to see kind of where things, in my early 20s, which was a long time ago, and to kind of see where things have evolved and shifted, and everything that happened in this last couple of weeks around the Supreme Court legitimately scares me. And it's not one of those where it's like, but it'll be okay because XYZ. There is no meaningful comfort at this point that I'm helping myself or my kids with, to be honest. So that's mine.
That is pretty scary. I think we can all totally get on board with that one. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough year. I think a lot of people said the thing that scares them most is this past year.
2020.
I'm going to go ahead with that. And so, Liz, can you bring in some of our friends so Jamel and I can do some interviews with them now and see what they're up to?
Absolutely can. And I'm going to actually take this banner down, since we all know the questions are, so we can see who everybody is. And we're going to start with my dear friend, Jamie the Cactus.
Hello. Hello, Jamie Cactus. Would you like to tell us something about, first of all, tell us a little bit about your personality, your costume, what got you to this artistic endeavor that you clearly have spent some time engineering?
Yes, I'm a cactus. It's more accurate if I go like this. And how did I come to this? I Googled easy Halloween costume. And then bought the supplies online, and my hot glue gun has been very active lately. And so this is a tribute to people who are much better at homemade costume making than I am, but took some of my pandemic time to do some crafting.
So, well, we really appreciate this. I'm not going to make any comments on prickly personalities or anything like that, even though it is so rare. So, Jamie, we need to know one funny thing that scares you, and then some serious thing that scares you.
One funny thing that scares me is the thought of how much longer I'll have to be home alone with just my crafting skills to keep me company. It got really dark with that glue gun, trying to find things to glue. So I'm worried about the year ahead and what that's going to look like. Although maybe next year costume will be.
Jeff, we're a little worried too. I'm not going to lie to you.
And the serious thing that scares me is the long-term impact this is going to have on so many people's mental health. Everything that's happened in the last 7 months, everything that we're unsure of that will happen, and just the toll I've already seen it take on people in stress and anxiety and what that'll mean long-term. And that is really scary.
It is. It really is. Well, we are so grateful for your appearance and for your mad crafting skills. It's going to be a long time before I forget this one. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Thanks.
Jamel, you want to do the next interview?
Ooh, yes.
Okay.
Ooh, who's up next?
I'm happy to bring in our friend.
Ooh, my fave. It's
Pantone Black
60. Hello.
Hello. How are y'all? Oh, I have someone else to introduce as well. I'm Corvo. I use they, them pronouns, but I am also here joined with, one second, Asriel. She's a partially blind kitten. She's wearing a tutu. And she's a little whiny right now and a little tired. So I'm going to set her back down in my lap.
Like all of us, a little whiny and a little tired.
She fits right in, doesn't she?
So go on do your interview.
Girl, thank you. Pantone Black 6C. Tell us a little bit more. What is something lighthearted that you're afraid of?
So something lighthearted that I am afraid of, I actually can tell in the form of a story, in that the other night, like last week, I woke up in a cold sweat. I jolted up in bed and I was so surprised and scared. I barely knew what was happening. And I was like, oh my God, what did I just wake up? Like, what was my dream about? And my partner was startled awake as well. And so she was like, what, are you okay? Like, did you have a bad dream? Did you have a nightmare? And I was like, yeah. I dreamed that my puppy Sif was eating, and I quote, ooey gooey chocolate. I just very specifically, ooey gooey chocolate. And then I fell back asleep. And Azzy just fell off my lap and she's about to claw my thigh off. Okay. Azzy was scared too.
That is the mischievous dog that likes to get into stuff. So that is a legitimate fear.
And chocolate is scary for dogs. So that's legit.
What about a serious fear?
A serious fear of mine is, voter suppression really scares me. It's hard enough to vote and have your vote be counted. And so the fact that there are so many disenfranchised, people who are even further disenfranchised by having their voting rights taken away or made incredibly difficult to access, things like that, that scares me. There's videos going around of early voting and in these areas that are that have a high population density, but only one early voting place or whatever. And the lines go around several blocks. And some people find that very admirable, and it is very admirable. But there's also the flip side, which is me understanding it as an example of voter suppression. The fact that people are waiting 12 hours, and Azzy wants attention. So here, the fact that people are waiting 12 hours to vote.
I actually read an article that said exactly what you said, but it was specifically about Texas, how, Texas counties are gigantic. There's millions of people in these, counties, and there's only between 1 and 3 voting locations for folks, and how that's not adequate. So I think that's a very legitimate fear, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Pantone. I can't wait for my brother to see this because he's a designer. He's going to so appreciate this. Thank you so much for sharing your fears, both funny and real, with us. And who do we have up next?
Let's bring in Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Lil Sebastian the Lobster.
I think
Dr. Bunsen, you're muted.
No! I was yelling in the other room. Beaker! Lobster friend, to show you little Sebastian the Lobster, also known as the guinea pig, who's very, very angry with me right now.
Well, we have a lot of angry pets right now. We really do. So, Dr. Bunsen, tell us about your funny fear and then your serious one.
So I'm a little bit of a picky eater. So I will not eat lobsters, don't worry. Can't do that. My picky fear, or my fear, is secret raisins in my food, like in my salad or something, or eating bread and not. I hate raisins. If I don't know there's raisins in it and it's there, blah, I'll spit it out, pick it out.
Co-signed so strongly.
And Lil Sebastian has a silly fear as well. Well, it's not really silly, it's serious. His fear is that I'll put him back in this costume another time and he'll have to keep dressing up. And it's true on Saturday. So.
And so tell us about a serious fear, something that's kind of stressing you out.
Something that's stressing me out is ableism. As someone who's disabled and loves many people who are disabled, I am very afraid for my chronically ill and immunocompromised friends during this pandemic. And especially when people aren't taking the precautions that they should be taking and are putting my loved ones at risk. And that really scares me. Also afraid that once there is a vaccine, people may not get it and continue to put people at risk. So that terrifies me.
The lack of science is terrifying. I agree with you. And by the way, I am so with you on the raisin thing. It is the worst cheat in the whole world when you eat a cookie and then there's a raisin in it and not a chocolate chip.
I'm glad to see I have someone who, Leticia, agrees with me on the raisin. It was a controversial hot take.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. And as somebody who frequently gets called Beaker by her brother, I appreciate you. Liz, who do we have up next?
We are bringing in Hinkle's Halloween costume.
Oh.
Hello, Hinkle.
There's a tutu here. That's why I was far away. This is my Halloween costume. There is 3 different versions of this exact costume, which is a t-shirt and a tutu.
So tell us about your fears. What scares you that's funny, and what scares you that's legitimately scary?
So this will surprise none of my colleagues that are participating in something to talk about live today, but the something that's funny is I am deathly afraid of robots. And this includes Roomba vacuums and Siri and Google Homes. I'm very afraid of robots. And something serious that scares me, something that I'm thinking about a lot right now, is how many people are just so unaware of the kinds of rollbacks that we are going to see potentially over the next few years. I think about people who think that marriage equality is a done deal, that the Supreme Court decision for workplace non-discrimination that happened in June is settled case law. Like it scares me that people don't seem to really understand what's at stake.
That is genuinely terrifying, because I think that those realities I think like you said, we think it's all settled and nothing is settled. If anything is, we've learned anything in the last few years, it's probably that, right?
For real.
Well, Jamie, I thought you were going to say your scary thing is when I show up late for trainings and stress you out. So I'm glad you didn't say that. Thank you.
Robots, irrational and total fear.
Bye, Hinkle. Thank you. Who else do we have?
We have Cecil Palmer.
Cecil Palmer.
Hello.
Hi, Cecil.
How are you today?
I think we're having a blast. Why don't you tell us about something that you're afraid of?
So I've been playing a lot of Among Us on my phone, and I am afraid of being the imposter because I'm really, really bad at bluffing. I have no poker face.
As you said that, I was like, yep.
My kids are strongly +1ing you behind me.
Thank you. And the serious thing I'm afraid of is that I'm really concerned going into the holiday season about LGBTQ people, especially young people who are at home with their families who might not be accepting, and what that means for long-term mental health and just general impact on how people exist in the world.
Yeah, that is actually some scary stuff. We're dealing with a lot of unknowns out there.
Yeah, a lot of question marks.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm always gonna visualize all of my colleagues in these costumes. I need you to just know that from now on, every time I look at all y'all, this is what I'm gonna say. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And last, but I think definitely not least, because, well, you'll see why. Patrick, postal service worker, y'all.
We got Bob the Builder and Patrick the Postal Service Worker.
Yes.
I wear the costume better than Bob does.
How are you?
Patrick, could you just briefly tell us why you made this choice this Halloween?
Well, you know what they say about a man in uniform. I just need to. Well, no. But this is okay. But anyway, to be on a more serious note, it is so important to honor our postal service workers. They're doing such an important job, especially around election time. So this is very important.
So tell us a little bit about one of your silly fears, or a not so serious fear, although still a fear.
So it's a very serious fear, I will tell you, is being forced to be confronted with the sound of my own recorded voice. I am so sorry, by the way, to anyone who is watching this live right now and is being forced to listen to my grating, horrible voice. I really hate the sound of my own voice so much. So that is my I
need you to record your voice for me today. I'm so sure.
She did. Jean Marie did make me record my voice today. It was horrible listening to it.
I'm so glad you brought it up, though, Patrick, so that we didn't have to.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I know. Ha ha ha.
Your voice is fine. It's a beautiful voice. Give yourself some credit.
It is lovely. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that. It is a lovely voice.
Well, thank you.
Tell us about your serious fear.
So a serious fear, not to copy Liz, because Liz has talked about this a little bit, but the Supreme Court does scare me, specifically with reference to LGBT rights. The day after the election, there is going to be an important case on gay adoption rights. It definitely scares me how that might turn out. There are cases that are going to be coming up about conversion therapy bans. That scares me, how that might turn out. And then future cases about anti-discrimination rules. Based on the way the court looks right now, that, it's very uncertain how these cases might turn out. And, we just have to do our best to resist, to show that, we care about these issues, and that the court needs to care about them too, if they're going to stay legitimate and do as what is required. It's literally written on the front of the building, equal rights under the law. It's right there. So, hopefully they'll follow that.
Yeah. Oh, wow, my voice sounded like a monster.
Perfect for you.
Perfect.
That inner witch is coming out.
It's not even inner. It's completely outside. I think we all know that. Well, Patrick, thank you so much. Good luck with delivering the ballots.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just want to quickly piggyback on what Patrick said. So there is this case on November 4th. And while that's kind of where it starts, is with adoptive and foster parents, the real question is going to be around discrimination, and whether service providers who receive taxpayer funding are getting this funding and then can turn around and discriminate against people. And it's not just LGBTQ plus people, it's also people of different faiths or of no faith. It's people who are unmarried. It is people who were previously divorced. So while on its face, it is a case that starts with foster care and adoption for LGBTQ plus people, it is very much a widespread thing. And I want to make sure folks know that, yes, there's an election on Tuesday, which feels feels scary, but if you like to channel your fear into action, please know on November 4th, you should join us for a town hall that night. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. You can register at ourdayincourt.org. We'll be running it, but the panel is a bunch of great legal minds talking about how the case went at the Supreme Court that day and what we can expect to hear and where the results might lead us. So thank you for letting me take an extra minute to elevate.
Of course, and please definitely register for that. Liz, Jamel, thank you so much for somehow pulling off the crazy ideas that we come up with for this show. I'm so glad that I get to work with the both of you. Thank you so much for helping with this and actually making it a reality, and Jamel being my partner in crime for these shows.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Totally our pleasure. And I'm going to go check out that mushroom that I see over there, which might help me get through the election season. So
Palm Springs, please. So everybody, I just want to wish everybody, that's a bad scene. Wish everybody a very happy Halloween and remind you that you have an opportunity to change the world on Tuesday, and that is by voting. So please don't squander that right. We will be back again. I might actually have normal color skin again, but we're not sure about that. So please join us next week for something to talk about. We will be doing this again. Until then, please continue to follow our advice of running fast, laughing hard, and being kind, and wear your mask, which I can't do right now because of the green makeup, but we will be doing it again next week. Make sure you get out and vote. We will be back next week to talk about the election. Happy Halloween, everybody.